In the heart of a Seattle suburb, Andrew thought he knew his wife, Lisa, better than anyone, until a single sentence over dinner flipped his world upside down. Her casual betrayal sparked a fire in him, not of rage, but of a calculated resolve to turn her game against her. Andrew Miller, a 34-year-old Seattle firefighter, pulled into the driveway of his modest home after a grueling 24-hour shift. His muscles ached, but his spirit lifted at the thought of seeing Lisa, his wife of 6 years. They were the couple everyone envied. Andrew, the guy who'd rush into burning buildings to save strangers, and Lisa, 31, a sharp-witted advertising manager who could charm a room. Together, they were building a life, saving for a house by Lake Washington, hosting weekend barbecues, and planning a future that seemed unshakable. Tonight, though, something felt off. Andrew stepped into the kitchen, the faint hum of a sitcom drifting from the living room. Lisa was already at the table, scrolling through her phone, a half-eaten container of Chinese takeout in front of her. "Hey, you're home," she said, barely looking up. Her voice carried a strange edge, like she was reading lines from a script. Andrew grabbed a beer from the fridge, trying to shake the unease. "Long shift," he said, cracking it open. "Saved a dog from a garage fire today. You good?" Lisa set her phone down, her movements deliberate. "Yeah, I'm good. Actually, I was going to tell you something." She paused, picking at her food, then dropped the bomb with the nonchalance of someone mentioning a grocery run. "I'm going out to dinner with Mark on Friday. You know, my co-worker." Andrew froze, the beer halfway to his lips. Mark. The name hit like a rogue spark. He'd met the guy once at Lisa's office holiday party. Tall, slick, the kind who lingered too long when shaking hands. Andrew's pulse quickened, but he kept his face neutral, a skill honed from years of staying calm in chaos. "Dinner?" he asked, voice steady. "Just you two?" Lisa nodded, her eyes fixed on her plate. "Yeah, just catching up. It's no big deal." The words sounded rehearsed, and she didn't meet his gaze. Andrew's mind raced. No big deal. 5 years of marriage, countless late-night talks about trust, and now this? He waited for her to elaborate, to laugh it off, but she just speared a piece of broccoli, acting like she hadn't just lobbed a grenade into their life. He took a slow sip of his beer, buying time to process. This wasn't a mistake or a joke. Lisa's avoidance of eye contact, the slight tension in her shoulders, it was deliberate. She was testing him, probing for a reaction. Andrew's instincts, sharpened from years of reading danger in smoke-filled rooms, screamed that this was more than a casual dinner. But he wouldn't give her the outburst she seemed to expect. If this was a game, he'd play smarter. "Sounds fine," he said, leaning back in his chair, his tone as casual as hers. "Mark's the guy from your campaign team, right?" Lisa's eyes flicked up, searching his face for a crack in his calm. She nodded a bit too quickly. "Yeah, exactly. Just work stuff." Her voice wavered, betraying a flicker of doubt. Andrew caught it, and a plan began to form. If Lisa wanted to push boundaries, he'd push back, on his terms. "Cool," he said, standing to grab a plate. "Actually, I might grab drinks with Kate from the station this weekend. Been meaning to catch up." He tossed the line out like it was nothing, but the air shifted. Lisa's fork paused mid-bite, her eyes narrowing. Kate was a paramedic Andrew worked with, someone Lisa had met once and dismissed as too intense. Andrew hadn't planned to see Kate, but the mention was a calculated move. He wanted to see how Lisa would react to her own medicine. "Kate." Lisa's voice tightened, though she tried to play it off. "Didn't know you two were close." Andrew shrugged, piling fried rice onto his plate. "We talk at work. She's cool. Figured it'd be fun." He sat back down, meeting her gaze for the first time. Lisa's confident facade slipped, just for a second, but it was enough. Her lips pressed into a thin line, and her fingers gripped her phone a little too tightly. Andrew felt a spark of satisfaction. She hadn't expected him to counter so smoothly. The rest of the meal passed in tense silence, the sitcom's laugh track filling the void. Lisa tried to steer the conversation to mundane topics, work, the weather, but her usual charm felt forced. Andrew kept his responses short, his mind already 3 steps ahead. He wasn't angry, not yet. But he was alert, like he was sizing up a fire that could spread any second. Lisa had opened a door, and he was ready to walk through it, not to destroy their marriage, but to see how far she'd take this. As he cleared his plate, Andrew noticed Lisa watching him, her expression unreadable. "You're really okay with this?" she asked, almost challenging him. He smiled, just enough to keep her guessing. Why wouldn't I be? You said it's no big deal. Her jaw tightened, and for the first time, Andrew saw something new in her eyes, uncertainty. She wanted a reaction, maybe jealousy or anger, but his calm was throwing her off balance. Andrew headed to the couch, leaving Lisa at the table. He flipped through channels, but his focus was on her subtle movements behind him, the way she lingered, the soft tap of her fingers on the table. She was rattled, and he knew it. This wasn't about Mark or Kate. It was about trust, control, and whatever Lisa was really after. Andrew wasn't sure what her endgame was, but he was certain of one thing. He wouldn't let her call the shots. Not tonight, not ever. By the time they went to bed, the air between them crackled with unspoken tension. Lisa climbed into bed without a word, her back to him. Andrew lay awake, staring at the ceiling, his firefighter's instincts kicking in. He'd faced worse than this, collapsing roofs, raging flames, but this felt different. This was a fire in his own home, and he needed to outsmart it before it consumed everything. Lisa's dinner with Mark was 2 days away, but Andrew was already rewriting the rules of her game. Each move he made tightened the noose around her confidence, and he was just getting started. The morning after Lisa's bombshell, Andrew woke early, his mind sharp despite the restless night. He slipped out for a run before Lisa stirred, his sneakers pounding the pavement through their Seattle suburb. The crisp air cleared his head, but his focus wasn't on the route. It was on the chessboard he'd turned their marriage into. Lisa wanted to test him with her dinner with Mark. Fine. He'd play along, but he'd set the pace. Back home, Lisa was in the kitchen, sipping coffee, her phone clutched like a lifeline. Andrew noticed her glance up as he entered, sweaty but energized. Good run? She asked, her tone too casual, like she was fishing for something. Great, he replied, grabbing a water bottle. Might hit the gym later, too. Kate mentioned a new workout she's trying. The name drop was deliberate, and Lisa's grip on her mug tightened. She forced a smile. Sounds intense. You two are getting close, huh? Andrew shrugged, leaning against the counter. We talk. She's got some interesting ideas. He let the vagueness hang, watching Lisa's eyes flicker with doubt. She opened her mouth, then closed it, opting for a nod. Andrew didn't push, he'd planted the seed. The rest of the morning, he kept busy, answering texts with a quick smile, leaving his phone face up where Lisa could see notifications light up. He didn't mention Kate again, but he didn't need to. Lisa's sidelong glances told him she was already spiraling. By Wednesday, the tension in their home was a live wire. Andrew upped the ante. He left for work early, mentioning a team thing at the fire station that might run late. In truth, he was meeting his buddy Ryan for wings and a strategy session. Ryan, a fellow firefighter, listened as Andrew laid out Lisa's move and his counterplay. She's testing you, man, Ryan said, shaking his head. You sure you want to play this hard? Andrew's jaw tightened. She started it. I'm just showing her what it feels like. That night, Andrew came home after Lisa, his phone buzzing as he walked in. He glanced at it, chuckled softly, and typed a quick reply before setting it down. Lisa, pretending to scroll through her tablet, watched him like a hawk. Work stuff? She asked, her voice strained. Nah, just catching up, Andrew said, heading for a shower. He caught her reflection in the hallway mirror as she peeked at his phone, her fingers hovering, then pulling back. Good. Let her wonder. Thursday brought a new twist. Lisa, usually polished and in control, seemed off. She burned her toast at breakfast, snapped at a work call, and kept checking her phone, as if expecting Andrew to crack first. He didn't. Instead, he mentioned grabbing coffee with Kate after his shift, tossing it out like an afterthought. She's got this story about a call we worked together. Pretty wild, he said, knowing Lisa wouldn't ask for details. She didn't, but her silence screamed louder than any question. Andrew felt the shift. She was losing her grip on the game she'd started. That evening, Lisa tried to regain control. Over takeout tacos, she steered the conversation to their plans for the lake house, her voice bright but brittle. We should book that cabin for next month, don't you think? She said, as if nothing had changed. Andrew nodded, playing along, but added, sure, unless we're both too busy with our new friends. Lisa's laugh was forced, her eyes darting to his. You're really into this Kate thing, aren't you? She pressed, her tone sharp. Andrew leaned back, meeting her gaze. You said your dinner with Mark was no big deal. I figured we're both just branching out. His words were calm, but they cut deep. Lisa's face flushed, and she pushed her plate away. "It's not the same," she said too quickly. "Why not?" Andrew shot back, his voice still even. "You set the rules, Lisa. I'm just following them." The silence that followed was heavy, her confidence unraveling. She stood, muttering about a work email, and retreated to the living room. Andrew didn't follow. He cleaned the dishes, his mind racing. Lisa's reaction confirmed what he'd suspected. Her dinner with Mark was a power play, not a fling. She wanted to see him squirm, to prove she could call the shots. But Andrew wasn't the jealous type. She'd miscalculated. He'd spent years reading people in high-stakes situations, knowing when to act and when to wait. Right now, waiting was his weapon. Let Lisa stew in her own uncertainty. By Friday morning, the air in their home crackled with unspoken stakes. Lisa was quieter, her usual charm replaced by nervous energy. She lingered in the kitchen, watching Andrew pack his gym bag. "You're still going out tonight?" she asked, her voice tight. Andrew zipped the bag, turning to face her. "Yeah, Kate's free. You still meeting Mark?" Lisa hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, probably." Her eyes searched his, looking for a crack. Andrew gave her nothing but a shrug. "Have fun," he said, heading out. In his truck, Andrew dialed Ryan. "It's on," he said. "She's rattled, but she's sticking to her plan. I need you to cover for me tonight." Ryan laughed. "You're playing with fire, man. I'll text you from the bar. Make it look real." Andrew hung up, his pulse steady. Lisa thought she could push him to the edge, but she didn't know him as well as she thought. Tonight, he'd let her think she'd won. Right before he flipped the board, Friday night arrived, and Lisa's carefully laid trap was about to snap shut on her. Andrew's calculated moves had pushed her to the edge, and now, the game she started would reach its breaking point. The Seattle sky was a bruised gray as Andrew left the house, his gym bag slung over his shoulder. Lisa stood in the doorway, her arms crossed, watching him go. Her dinner with Mark was hours away, but her usual confidence was fraying. Andrew's calm mention of drinks with Kate had left her off balance all week, and now, her eyes betrayed a flicker of doubt. "You'll be back late?" she asked, her voice tighter than she intended. Andrew turned, offering a casual nod. "Probably. You have fun with Mark." He didn't wait for her reply, climbing into his truck and driving off. In the rearview mirror, he caught her lingering in the doorway, her silhouette tense. Checkmate was close. Andrew wasn't meeting Kate. There was no Kate. His plan, hatched with Ryan's help, was to mirror Lisa's game, letting her taste the uncertainty she'd tried to force on him. He drove to Ryan's apartment, where they'd stage a fake night out. Ryan, already cracking a beer, grinned as Andrew walked in. "She's freaking out yet?" he asked. Andrew smirked, checking his phone. "She's close. Keep those texts coming tonight. Make it look real." Ryan saluted, already typing a message from a burner account labeled Kate. Andrew's phone buzzed. "K, excited for tonight. Meet you at the bar. Perfect." If Lisa snooped, she'd find exactly what he wanted her to see. Meanwhile, Lisa sat at their kitchen table, her phone open to her chat with Mark. She'd texted him earlier, confirming the dinner, but now her thumb hovered over the cancel button. The idea of Mark, his easy charm, his flirty banter, had seemed thrilling when she first floated the dinner to Andrew. It was supposed to make Andrew jealous, to remind him she had options. But Andrew's cool response and his sudden interest in Kate had flipped the script. Her stomach churned. Was he serious about Kate, or was he calling her bluff? She typed a quick excuse to Mark. Feeling off, let's reschedule and hit send. No way was she leaving the house while Andrew was out with someone else. Back at Ryan's, Andrew kept his phone visible, letting Kate's texts pile up. At the bar. "You here yet? This place is packed. Saved you a spot." He replied just enough to keep the illusion alive, knowing Lisa might check his notifications later. Ryan watched, shaking his head. "You're cold, man. This is next level." Andrew's jaw tightened. She wanted to play games. "I'm just better at it." But beneath his resolve, a pang of hurt lingered. 6 years of marriage, and Lisa thought she could manipulate him like this? He pushed the thought aside. Focus. Tonight was about control. As the evening dragged on, Lisa's anxiety spiked. She paced their living room, refreshing Andrew's social media for clues. Nothing. No posts, no stories. She opened their shared location app. His phone showed him at a downtown bar. Her pulse raced. Was he really with Kate? She texted him, trying to sound casual. "How's your night going?" No reply. Minutes turned to hours. each one tightening the knot in her chest. She tried calling, but it went to voicemail. By 11 p.m., she was a wreck, her mind conjuring images of Andrew laughing with some paramedic, moving on without her. Andrew, meanwhile, was sprawled on Ryan's couch, watching a game, his phone buzzing with Lisa's texts. He ignored them, letting her stew. Ryan glanced over. "You're not going to answer?" Andrew shook his head. "Not yet. She needs to feel this." He wasn't cruel. He just wanted Lisa to understand the weight of her actions. She tried to shake his trust, to toy with their marriage. Now, she'd face the consequences of her own rules. Past midnight, Andrew decided it was time. He thanked Ryan, grabbed his bag, and drove home. He pulled into the driveway at 2:17 a.m., deliberately late. The house was dark except for the faint glow of the TV. Lisa was on the couch, her phone clutched in her hand, eyes red-rimmed. She sat up as he walked in, her voice sharp but shaky. "Where were you?" Andrew set his bag down, his expression neutral. "Out with Kate. Had a good time." He kept it vague, watching her reaction. Lisa's face crumpled, her bravado gone. "You're serious about her?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Andrew leaned against the wall, crossing his arms. "You tell me, Lisa. You said your dinner with Mark was no big deal. Why is this any different?" Her mouth opened, then closed, words failing her. She stood, taking a step toward him. "I didn't go to dinner with Mark," she blurted. "I canceled. I was just, I don't know, testing you. I wanted to see if you'd care." Her voice cracked, and for the first time, Andrew saw a raw vulnerability in her eyes, not the calculated facade she'd worn all week. He let the silence stretch, his gaze steady. "Testing me," he repeated, his tone low, controlled. "You thought you could play with our marriage to see if I'd flinch?" Lisa flinched at his words, her hands twisting together. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she said, her voice trembling. "I thought you'd get jealous, not this." Andrew's eyes narrowed. "You thought wrong." He stepped past her, heading for the hallway. "I'm done with games, Lisa. You broke something and I'm not sure it can be fixed." Lisa's breath hitched, but Andrew didn't turn back. He reached the bedroom, his heart pounding despite his calm exterior. Her confession confirmed what he'd suspected. She'd never intended to cheat, just to manipulate him. But the damage was done. Her test had exposed a crack in their trust, and Andrew wasn't sure he could or wanted to mend it. As he lay in bed, the weight of the night settled over him. Lisa's footsteps echoed in the living room, restless, but he didn't call out. Tomorrow, he'd make his next move. For now, he'd let her sit with the consequences of her gambit. Lisa's confession hung in the air, but Andrew wasn't ready to forgive. Her game had shattered their trust, and now, as the weekend unfolded, the consequences of her actions would hit harder than she ever imagined. Saturday morning broke over Seattle with a drizzle that matched the heavy mood in Andrew and Lisa's home. Andrew woke early, his mind replaying Lisa's tearful admission from the night before. She'd canceled her dinner with Mark, admitting it was a test to make him jealous. The confession should have brought relief, but instead, it fueled his resolve. Lisa had gambled with their marriage, and Andrew wasn't about to let her off the hook. He'd spent years putting out fires, literal and figurative, but this one, she'd started, and he let it burn her. He slipped out of bed quietly, leaving Lisa asleep, and headed to the kitchen. His phone buzzed with a text from Ryan. "Asterisk, you good, man? That was some Oscar-level play last night." Asterisk, Andrew smirked, typing back. Asterisk, she's rattled. "Time to finish this." Asterisk, he wasn't cruel, but he was done playing the loyal husband who'd roll over. Lisa wanted to see how far she could push him. He'd show her the cost of crossing that line. Lisa appeared an hour later, her steps hesitant as she entered the kitchen. Andrew was at the counter, sipping coffee, his expression unreadable. She hovered, clearly expecting him to speak first. When he didn't, she tried to break the ice. "You're up early," she said, her voice small. "Work," Andrew replied curtly, not looking up from his phone. It wasn't true. He had the day off, but he wanted her to feel the distance. Lisa fidgeted, pouring herself coffee, then sat across from him. "Can we talk about last night?" she asked, her tone pleading. Andrew set his phone down, meeting her gaze. "You said it was a test. What's left to talk about?" His voice was steady, but the edge in it made Lisa wince. She leaned forward, her hands clasped tightly. "I messed up, Andrew. I didn't mean to hurt you. I felt like we were in a rut, and I wanted to see if you still cared." Her words tumbled out, desperate, But Andrew's face didn't soften. "You tested me by pretending to go out with another guy," he said. "What did you think would happen? I'd beg you to stay?" Cry. Lisa's eyes dropped to the table. "I didn't think you'd go out with Kate." Andrew leaned back, letting the silence stretch. He could have told her the truth, that Kate was a fiction, a mirror to her own lie. But he held back. The truth was his ace, and he wasn't ready to play it. Instead, he shrugged. "You opened a door, Lisa. I just walked through it." Her breath caught, and she reached for his hand, but he pulled back, standing. "I'm heading out," he said, grabbing his keys. "Got plans." Lisa's voice cracked as she called after him. "With Kate." Andrew didn't answer, letting the door close behind him. He drove to a nearby cafe, where Ryan was waiting. Over coffee, Andrew laid out his next move. "I'm not going back tonight," he said. "I need space to figure this out. Can I crash at your place?" Ryan nodded, but his brow furrowed. "You sure you want to escalate?" "She's already breaking." Andrew's jaw tightened. "She needs to understand what she's done. I'm not punishing her. I'm protecting myself." Ryan raised an eyebrow, but didn't argue. Andrew's phone buzzed. "Lisa, texting. Asterisk, please come home. We need to fix this." Asterisk, he ignored it, his focus razor sharp. Lisa, meanwhile, was unraveling. Alone in the house, she scrolled through Andrew's social media, searching for any hint of Kate. Nothing. She called a friend, Sarah, spilling everything. "I thought it'd shake him up, make him fight for me," she admitted, her voice shaky. Sarah was blunt. "You played a dangerous game, Lisa. What if he's serious about this Kate woman?" Lisa's stomach dropped. The idea that Andrew might actually move on hadn't crossed her mind until now. She texted him again, then called, but he didn't respond. By afternoon, panic set in. She drove to the fire station, hoping to catch him, but his truck wasn't there. A coworker shrugged when she asked. "Andrew's off today. Haven't seen him." Back home, Lisa's mind raced. She replayed every moment of the week. Andrew's calm responses, his sudden interest in Kate, his late night out. Had she pushed him too far? She tried distracting herself with work emails, but her thoughts kept spiraling. By evening, she was a mess, jumping at every notification, hoping it was Andrew. When her phone finally pinged, it was Mark, asking if she was free to reschedule. She deleted the message, her hands trembling. The game she'd started was slipping out of her control, and the stakes felt suffocatingly real. Andrew spent the night at Ryan's, his phone off. He wasn't hiding. He was giving Lisa space to feel the weight of her choices. Sunday morning, he returned home, ready to up the ante. Lisa was waiting, her eyes puffy from lack of sleep. "Where were you?" she demanded, her voice raw. Andrew set his bag down, his expression cold. "Needed a break," he said. "Figured you'd understand, since you're so okay with us seeing other people." Lisa's face crumpled. "I told you I didn't go through with it. I canceled with Mark. I was wrong, Andrew. Please." For a moment, Andrew considered telling her the truth about Kate, but her desperation stopped him. This wasn't just about her test. It was about the trust she'd shattered. He took a deep breath, his decision made. "I'm staying with Ryan for a while," he said. "I need time to think." Lisa's eyes widened, and she grabbed his arm. "You're leaving me? Over this?" Andrew pulled away, his voice firm. "You broke something, Lisa. I don't know if I can trust you anymore." He handed her a folder, divorce papers prepared by a lawyer friend. "Think about what you want," he said, walking out. Lisa stood frozen, the papers trembling in her hands. She'd wanted to spark something in Andrew, to feel desired, but instead, she'd pushed him away. As his truck pulled out of the driveway, the reality hit. Her game had cost her everything. Andrew, driving to Ryan's, felt no satisfaction, only a hollow resolve. He'd loved Lisa fiercely, but love wasn't enough when trust was gone. The next move was hers, but he was ready to walk away for good. Lisa stared at the divorce papers, her world unraveling as Andrew walked away. Her game had backfired, and now, with the truth about to surface, the final move would seal their fate. The Seattle rain pounded the pavement as Andrew's truck disappeared down the street, leaving Lisa clutching the divorce papers in their quiet home. Her plan to test Andrew's loyalty with a fake dinner had spiraled into a catastrophe she couldn't undo. She'd wanted to spark jealousy, to feel wanted, but instead, she'd pushed him to the edge. Now, with Andrew gone and the papers in her hands, the weight of her mistake crushed her. She sank onto the couch, her phone silent, no new messages from him. The game was over, and she'd lost. Andrew, driving to Ryan's apartment, felt no triumph. His heart ached for the life they'd built. 6 years of shared dreams, late-night talks, and plans for a lake house. But Lisa's manipulation had cracked the foundation of their trust, and he couldn't unsee it. He played her game, inventing Kate to mirror her lie, but the victory was hollow. As he pulled into Ryan's lot, his phone buzzed. Lisa, again. Asterisk, please, Andrew, come back. I'm sorry. Asterisk, he powered it off, needing space to think. Was this really the end, or could they salvage something? Monday morning, Lisa called in sick to work, unable to face her colleagues. Mark had texted again, oblivious to her turmoil, asking about rescheduling their dinner. She blocked his number, her stomach churning at the thought of him. The office rumor mill was already buzzing. Someone had overheard her mention the canceled dinner, and whispers of her flirtation were spreading. Lisa didn't care about Mark. She'd only used him as a pawn. But the damage was done, and her reputation was fraying alongside her marriage. Andrew, meanwhile, threw himself into work at the fire station. A house fire call came in mid-shift, and he led his team through the chaos, pulling a family to safety. The adrenaline steadied him, reminding him of his purpose. His captain clapped him on the shoulder after, hinting at a promotion to lieutenant. "You're solid, Miller," he said. "Keep it up." Andrew nodded, but his mind drifted to Lisa. He'd left the divorce papers to shock her, to show her the stakes, but now he wondered if he'd gone too far. By Tuesday, Lisa was desperate. She drove to Ryan's apartment, hoping to catch Andrew, but Ryan answered the door, his expression guarded. "He's not here," he said. "Give him time, Lisa." She pressed, her voice trembling. "Is he with Kate? Just tell me." Ryan's brow furrowed, but he didn't crack. "Talk to him, not me." Lisa left, her panic deepening. She couldn't shake the image of Andrew moving on, laughing with someone new. Back home, she scoured his social media again, finding nothing but old photos of them smiling together. Each one stabbed at her heart. Wednesday, Andrew returned to the house to grab clothes. Lisa was waiting, her eyes red from crying. "We need to talk," she said, her voice raw. Andrew set his bag down, bracing himself. "Go ahead," he said, his tone flat. Lisa took a shaky breath, stepping closer. "I was an idiot, Andrew. I didn't want Mark. I felt invisible lately, like we were coasting. I thought making you jealous would wake us up. I never thought you'd leave." Her words were sincere, but they didn't erase the hurt. Andrew crossed his arms, his resolve wavering but holding. "You didn't just make me jealous, Lisa. You lied. You played with our marriage like it was a game." She nodded, tears spilling. "I know. I hate myself for it. But you went out with Kate. How's that different?" Andrew's jaw tightened. "It was time. There is no Kate," he said, his voice steady. "I made her up. Ryan sent those texts to make you feel what I felt. You want to test me? I tested you back." Lisa froze, her breath catching. "You lied to me?" The irony wasn't lost on her, but the revelation hit like a punch. Andrew nodded. "I wanted you to see what it's like to doubt someone you love. But the difference is I didn't start this. You did." Lisa's hands shook as she processed his words. Her test had been a reckless spark. His had been a controlled burn, exposing her manipulation for what it was. She reached for him, but he stepped back. "I need to know you're done with games," he said. "I can't live like this." Lisa's voice broke. "I'm done. I swear. I'll do anything to fix this." Andrew studied her, searching for the woman he'd married. He saw regret, but trust was a fragile thing, and hers was shattered. "I'm staying with Ryan for now," he said. "I'll think about it. But you need to figure out why you thought this was okay." He grabbed his clothes and left, the door closing with a quiet finality. Over the next week, Lisa started therapy, confronting her need for control. She canceled her social plans, avoiding the office where gossip about her date lingered. Andrew focused on work, earning his promotion and finding solace in routine. He met with a lawyer to pause the divorce papers, unsure if he wanted to move forward. Late one night, he scrolled through old texts from Lisa, silly memes, heartfelt "I love yous." He wanted to believe they could rebuild, but trust wasn't a switch he could flip. Lisa, meanwhile, wrote him a letter left on the kitchen counter. "Asterisk, I broke us, but I'm working on me. I'll wait as long as it takes." Asterisk, Andrew read it, his chest tight. He didn't reply, but he kept it. At the station, he saved another family from a fire, their gratitude grounding him. The moral was clear: trust is earned through honesty, not games. Lisa had learned her lesson, but whether it was enough to save them remained unanswered. For now, Andrew walked forward, his heart heavy but his purpose intact.